Suzuki's Joan Mir has taken the MotoGP world by storm after not only winning his maiden title, but doing so in only his second season competing in the Premier class. In addition, it is also the first crowning success for Suzuki in 20 years, after Kenny Roberts Jr. triumphed back in 2000, though this is its first modern-day MotoGP era title. So, how did the Spaniard accomplish such a magnificent feat? Well, it's been unconventional to say the least, but then little about the 2020 MotoGP season has been conventional from the start. Mir's route to the title began in fairly unassuming fashion. After a modest injury-hampered maiden season that delivered a best result of just 5th position, Mir was tipped to cause a few surprises on the back of a promising pre-season testing and a seemingly competitive bike, but wasn't even in the top 10 favourites for a title tilt. Even then, this was all before the season was put on hiatus due to the global pandemic crisis, and Mir found himself largely forgotten as the season began belatedly in July at Jerez. By contrast, fellow sophomore rider Fabio Quartararo, on the back of a stunning rookie season in 2019, was the headline man, winning both Spanish races, which coincided with Marc Marquez's infamous crash that would go on to rule him out of the season altogether. As for Mir, well, he crashed out in the very first round after losing the front of his GSX RR, finished 5th the following weekend at Jerez, and then was knocked out of the Czech GP by KTM's Iker Lecuona. Mir was 50 points down on Quartararo after the first 3 races of the season, with the media rushing to crown the Frenchman far too early. However, Mir began to find his feet in the following Austrian and Styrian MotoGP rounds, landing his maiden podium in the former and a 4th place finish in the latter. The second of these races could have been very different though, Mir showing performance not seen previously by leading for much of the way before a red flag period left him with no fresh tyres at the restart, scuppering what looked like an odds-on win. While that victory would elude him for some time, it did make the paddock sit up and take notice of Mir's qualities, having flown largely under the radar ever since his MotoGP debut. It proved to be the breakthrough Mir was chasing, and from that point his metronomic consistency, aided by an unfailingly robust and weakness-free Suzuki GSX RR, became something of a legend. Though wild form book of his rivals emphasised Mir's ability to notch up good points week in, week out, he was clearly finding his confidence, as typified by arguably the overtake of the season with a last lap pass for 3rd on Valentino Rossi at Misano. Heartbreaking for the Doctor's legion of fans, but even they struggled to deny its quality. Meticulous, precise, and most importantly clean, Joan Mir demonstrated that he had earned the opportunity to race at the top. Catalunya saw the resurgence of Fabio Quartararo, who would regain control of the 2020 MotoGP World Championship standings with a convincing 3rd victory of the season. However, Joan Mir was not far behind the Frenchman, finishing 2nd place in Spain in another display of clawing his way back up the order, a trait of the Suzuki's abilities to conserve its tyres. By this time, he was now only 8 points off Quartararo's lead. The French Grand Prix would end up being a one-time blip in Mir's consistency after facing up to his first ever wet race at Le Mans when the heavens opened moments before it began. Already hampered by a bad grid position, things got worse for Mir when he was caught up in Rossi's Turn 1 crash, forcing him to the back of the field. All at sea during the wet first half of the race, Mir nonetheless found his confidence to get back up the order to finish just behind pole sitter Quartararo at the loss of just 2 points to his rival. As MotoGP returned to Spain for the Motorland Aragon race, momentum completely shifted, with Mir's teammate Alex Rins winning the race and becoming the 8th different winner of the season. Suzuki had ultimately controlled the race, with both Rins and Mir running as 1-2 until an exceptional Alex Marquez swooped by Mir, clawing an impressive 2nd place after starting 9th. Mir's 3rd place finish on the podium was his 5th of the season, culminating a landmark day for Suzuki as he became the 2020 MotoGP Championship leader, in the wake of Quartararo failing to score due to tyre pressure issues. Yet another podium came at the Aragon reboot, following Mir to put more distance between himself and his nearest rivals, putting him firmly into the driving or riding seat with now only 3 races remaining. However, it was title favourite status that Mir more than anyone was struggling to comprehend because he hadn't yet won a race. In fact, He now hadn't won a GP race since 2017, when he was on the way to the Moto3 title, and he refused to believe it was right for a title winner to not top the podium. Some might have seen this as pressure, but Mir turned it into a motivating factor, and at the best possible time the victory finally came in the most comprehensive of circumstances, leading a dominant Suzuki 1-2 in Valencia as Quartararo crashed out on lap 1. Consistency has been the key to Mir's success this season, with a number of podium finishes in which no rider has achieved more than him, and he has demonstrated some remarkable maturity in some exceptional circumstances to achieve a momentous accolade few will begrudge. Mir may be an intensely focused, well-paid motorcycling star who has achieved a lifelong dream, but the 23-year-old has a commendable awareness for those living outside the literal MotoGP bubble. Real pressure is on the people that can't pay their rent because of these conditions, the coronavirus and all of this, and that can't bring food home, Mir explained. For sure, when I hear questions about pressure, I think about that and say, I don't have pressure. This is my job. I will be super good anyway, so I'm privileged. Indeed, a worthy champion. Congratulations to Joan Mir and the Suzuki team on accomplishing a stunning maiden world championship for the Spanish youngster. Is Joan Mir the rider of the season? What moments impressed you the most in Mir's journey towards his first title? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Crash MotoGP.